Well, hello class, and welcome to the start of Unit 3. So here's the deal. I'm going to do a couple things differently this week, and probably the rest of the weeks from here on out, okay? Um, I am going to, I'm going to do a couple different videos. One of them will be kind of the nitty-gritty on the content of the class, where we were, where we're headed, okay? So last week, this week, so forth. The other video is where I'm going to spend some time answering some questions. And I'm doing that because what I'm finding is that there's such good questions being asked that I'm not having enough time to really to thoroughly respond to these questions. Okay, and as I'm reading the questions, I'm really kind of getting this thought that these aren't questions just for the sake of asking questions, right? They're actually questions that you genuinely are interested. Like I really, truly want to, need to know the answer to fill in the blank. And so if we were obviously to be in class, face to face, we could do a lot more of these kind of back and forth discussions. And in fact, I would say, what you're doing in asking these really great, thoughtful questions is actually giving me a lot of thought for the next time if I had a chance to teach it face to face. The next time I do that, I'm going to have these questions be the start of our class every time we come together. So thanks for that. You're really you're really challenging me to think deeply and to encourage me. So I'll get to that here in a second. Okay, that'll be my second video. For this video, though, let me talk about last week. Okay, so last week, as you know, we had a number of things to do. So there were some discussions. We talked about this learning, this unlearning, this relearning. Talked about the difference between success and well-being. You wrote your David Benner book review. So you read The Gift of Being Yourself, and then you wrote your response on that. I hope that you found that to be enjoyable. And when I get to the question response time, I'm actually going to make some reference then to that text, and I think how it fits into some of the questions that are being asked. And then you, of course, did your vocation and calling presentation. And so not all of you did that, I will say. So almost all of you did, but there were a few that didn't. So I need to hear from you if that was you that didn't do. I need to hear from you right away and hear why. And then we'll have to look at some potential options if we are able to kind of find an agreement that you might be able to get partial credit. So, but that's a discussion we'll have to have once I hear from you. So if that's you and you haven't done this yet, we need to talk. Okay. I do find that we need to be really careful in accepting late assignments because the last thing I want to happen is for the submission of late assignments to be a habitual thing. And I have found that times when I accept them, once it kind of becomes this accepted norm, and that simply is not the case. So if you didn't do that, I need to hear from you right away. Okay? All right, so there's that. Some great discussions. Again, great questions. Just a lot of great back and forth. One of the things I hope you are finding valuable is the fact that you're doing these assessments. Okay, so you did the Holland Occupational Themes Assessment last week. And I find that assessment and those responses to be very helpful, especially if you make application of them into the different ways you can. And I'll post a link to the ONET website where you can do that and make some great use of that here in this unit as well. Okay. Okay, so last week was busy, and this week we have just as much, if not more, to do. You're going to take actually 2 assessments. So there's some Harvard Business Review quizzes that you'll complete. You'll take the standout, which comes in the actual book standout, which is going to be important that you purchase that book brand new. Because if you didn't purchase that book brand new, the chances of the code in the back of that book being something that you can actually utilize for purposes of your assessment, you won't be able to do that. Okay, and then of course you have another book review that's due. So you have that going on in the midst of everything in this next unit that we're about to embark upon. Okay, this unit, we then again, in addition to the assessments, in addition to the book review for the Buckingham Standout text, we will talk about entrepreneurship and the common good. And this is one of my favorite discussions to have. I think it's one that isn't had nearly enough, but needs to be had more. And the relationship to entrepreneurship and how we can utilize entrepreneurship for doing the most good to meet the needs of those that have the least around us. We'll discuss an example of vocational entrepreneurship. We'll discuss what calling is. And then we'll have a number of different things going on. So, of course, this week, too, you will view and respond to the vocation and calling presentations. Okay, so I want to hear from you on that, and you engage in discussion with your classmates. So a lot of talking, a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth, which is going to be really important to do. As you look ahead, I want you to make sure that you're remembering that we still have plenty of things ahead of us. So, not that you forgot about that. You're like, yeah, I remembered all about that. Thanks, though, for reminding me of something that I didn't need to be reminded of. This is a busy class. We have a lot going on. And so I think it's always helpful for me to remind you that in the midst of the reading, the viewing of short videos and whatnot, the discussions, you also have upcoming the reminders. You have certain portions of your VPP that you should be working on. You're not going to be done with them, but you should be working on them in the following weeks, because it is a pretty significantly sized project that will be important that you have spent plenty of time focused on as you are working toward completion of that and submitting that at the end of the semester. Okay, so lots going on this week. I don't want you to get lost in the midst of any of those things. Of course, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me. Again, if you were the a couple of people that didn't complete your presentation last week, we need to talk, because I do need you to have it posted so that your classmates can respond to it when it is posted. Okay, so keep up the good work. I'm really pleased with how things are going. I love the discussions. I love the questions. And again, I will post another video where I'll spend probably a full 15 minutes talking about my responses to many of your questions. So thanks so much for that. Thanks for your engagement, your involvement. Hope you're enjoying what you're learning. And my assumption is you're probably having your mind kind of shaken up a little bit, but that's all part of that learning, unlearning, and relearning process. And I hope that what we do eventually in this class is bring together all of these thoughts for some resolve, which helps to inform your vocational identity statement that we'll make as part of our final assignments at the end of this semester, or the end of this term, I should say. So keep up the good work, and we'll see you online.